Welcome you back to Talk of the Town for this Tuesday, March the 1st. First Tuesday of the month, we feel the Zeel. Normally with Zeeland Mayor Kevin Kleinstra join us, but Kevin is unavailable today, so we bring on board the city's marketing director, the lady who gave us the term, feel the Zeel. Abby DeRoo on the other side of our Zoom connection this morning. Abby, good morning and welcome back to WHTC.
Good morning, Gary. Thanks for having me.
Feel the Zeel. Dare I ask, how long have we had that slogan for the City of Zeeland?
Yeah, I think it was 2008 or early 2009 that we launched that. So it's been a while.
I credit you by bringing it because you were the city's, to a certain extent, first marketing director. Before we go and talk about things going on in Zeeland, what led you to think of the idea, Feel the Zeel?
Well, my position was created, and the very first project that I was tasked to do was to work with an internal group and an external marketing company to rebrand the city. And so through that process and all of the creative people that were part of that team, the Feel the Zeel tagline was launched. And we had so much fun rolling that out. I don't know if you remember, Gary, we did, some like guerrilla marketing, graffiti, middle of the night, YouTube videos with a slow release of that. And then through time, we've just built the brand and reinforced it. A lot of play on words with many of our Zeeland Zoom and Zeel Mania and Sounds of Summer with Z's on all of those S places. So we've had a lot of fun just reinforcing that brand over time. And now that red circle with the Z in it is iconic around here.
Yeah, indeed. It's like the Pure Michigan brand on a larger scale that the Michigan Economic Development Corporation put together, and it's really caught on. Granted, around these parts, we are well aware of Feel the Zeel and the branding, but between the circle, the Z, and the exclamation point during COVID-19, the heart with the Z in it as well. And you mentioned about the graffiti. The one that's still up there is the water tower off of Washington near the old Zeeland Lanes complex. That still has the Feel the Zeel on there. It is something that is lasting, and that's the important thing, I think, more than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, that was a major goal. And, I think that fortunately we were able to achieve that. And, we do hear, our colleagues around the state, they'll ask us about the branding or, if we're meeting somebody new at a conference or now it's a virtual conference, they'll say, aren't you that place? Aren't you that city that did that Feel the Zeel campaign? And so it's nice to hear that, when we, step outside of our little bubble around here.
And the other thing, too, is that it gave Zeeland, to me, an identity instead of just, well, Holland is the big town and, everything centers around there. Hey, Zeeland has its own identity as well. And it gave the city an identity that maybe it didn't have for a number of years.
Yeah, I'm not from here originally, so I can't comment on that. But I do know that when I was hired, one of the goals was to reinvent ourselves a little bit. We had a lot of young families moving in. Our school system was just really exploding. Our industrial park, is always bringing in, new employees, young employees. And so there was really, a need to display the energy that was moving into our city. And I think that the branding did just that.
And the other thing, too, it is sort of rejuvenated the city in the sense that it gave an identity to the city, it gave an identity to the downtown area. And we have seen over the years, Zeeland's downtown transformed a little bit more into a small town, a downtown district, sort of an identity that maybe just wasn't there. I'm not trying to feather your nest on this one here, Abby, but I take a look at Zeeland's downtown. It has some character. And it didn't have that for a long time.
Well, I think that, downtowns, across the country, they go in waves. And so, Zeeland had just found itself, for a lot of different economic reasons, in a little bit of a lull with a lot of vacancies. And so we've worked hard to implement, not only, ordinance and policy changes, but also development projects, a lot of new events, and just, kind of hitting it from all directions to strengthen that central part of our downtown that really is the beating heart of Zeeland.
Abby, let's talk about one municipal government thing that's going on. Public passageway on Main. The process goes on to try to get that built. Tell us a little bit about that and how that will enhance the downtown area.
Sure. So in 2008, we started our first version of our downtown vision plan. And way back then already, we identified that a good project for our downtown would be a public passageway. And as we were evaluating good locations for that project, and there could have been a number of locations, but one specific location kept resurfacing, and that was in place of the properties at 135 and 137 East Main. And so if you're frequent to downtown Zeeland, these buildings are just east of what was formerly Public Restaurant. So they're on the north side of the street. We've got a mid-block crosswalk right there. And they are two side-by-side, one-story buildings. And the Downtown Vision Plan identified that this spot, because the buildings are one story and have not been quite as cared for as some of our other properties. So those reasons, as well as the proximity to the mid-block crosswalk, would be a good location to target that space for our downtown passageway. And so what that means is that one or both of those sides of the building, it's actually two properties, could be removed, and a passageway could be constructed within that space that would connect the north public parking lot to Main Street. So, customers that park in the back can, use the passageway to connect them to Main Street. A lot of our city projects, especially for downtown, really emphasize connectivity. So that has been a goal of ours. So then fast forward, that project was, identified back in 2008. Fast forward to this past summer, and due to some shakeups downtown, a couple of businesses leaving, the opportunity presented itself for the city to purchase those properties from the property owner. And we have now created a request for proposals package that we've sent out, made available for developers to remove both of those properties, create a public passageway, and then construct a new infill building that will fill in the rest of the space. Because if you remove two properties, we only need about 10 feet of that for a passageway. And so that leaves, a nice parcel for a new construction project downtown.
Yeah, because the passageway is a good thing, but being a little pragmatic here, the city would like to have tax revenues in those spots as well.
Well, and that passageway is only attractive if it's the right size, right? If it's too narrow, it's going to feel, people are going to avoid it because it's not, it doesn't feel open and welcoming. If it's too large, you're going to feel like, you're in a bit of a ghost town. And so really optimizing that space, creating density by removing the one-story buildings and rebuilding a 2 to 3 story space in its location that can just be vibrant with new tenants on the ground floor, and then either, office or residential units on the upper floors. That's something that the existing buildings don't offer.
Yeah, well, that I was just saying, you got two spaces, you don't want to just leave it open and, wandering in because, it's nice to have that space, but it's also nice to have the income as well. All right, what time frame were we, now granted, Abby deRoo is not on the city council, doesn't have the final say, but if all goes well, what time frame are we looking at between the concept that we're probably talking about now and the actual reality of this passageway?
So the RFP that we just put out, and that's available on our website, cityofzeeland.com/RFP, that asks for developers to submit their proposals by March 31st. So then internally, we would review those. And as the top proposals kind of surface, we'd start to engage city council in those conversations. That whole process, interviewing the developers and reaching that final design, it's kind of too soon to say how long that process itself would take, but we would hope, and we had said in our RFP, that we're really looking for a project that ideally could be completed in 2 years. 2 to 3 years would be, kind of the secondary consideration, but we're not looking for something that would take much longer than that. And ideally, those buildings wouldn't come down until a project is ready to break ground, because we don't want to create that big hole in the center of downtown if we're not going to see action there.
Abby, I hate to use the term last call, but I'm going to use the term last call for ice skating in the city of Zeeland. Tell us about it.
So several years ago, we brought out a synthetic ice skating rink, and it's located right across from City Hall. We've got a little patio that we call the Elm Street Park, and our ice skating rink that's really nicely there. We started a ice skate rental program through our library, which is a free rental program. All you need is a library card to access that, and any Lakeland cooperative library card works for that. Anyway, so we've had a great winter ice skating. We've seen a lot of residents come out and enjoy that rink, but it is last call for ice skating. That sun is getting warmer and the snow is melting. And even though our ice rink is synthetic and doesn't take freezing temps to use, we do like to get it out of there when the season changes. And we like to use that patio for outdoor seating and yard games and special events. So we are saying last call on ice skates. We're going to let you rent skates through the library through the end of March. So a couple more weeks to do that with your family. And then we're going to pack them up until next year. So it's been fun, but it's time to move on.
Beware the Ides of March. I have a funny feeling March 15th might be a good date to pack up the ice for this year in Zeeland. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Let's get to a call. Good morning. You're on the line with Abby deRoo of the City of Zeeland.
Morning. Every time I drive to Zeeland, I feel the Zeel in my billfold. Thank you.
I appreciate the call. 616-395-1450. Now, that could be one or two, taken different ways. But anyway, let's move on. Okay. The ice rink goes up. Is it going to be quiet for about 6 weeks until we get to May, or not really?
Yeah, it gets a little quiet. Those first couple chilly months of spring, we don't have a lot of special events, but then May hits and we are running full speed. And, this is going to be the first year in 2 whole years where everything is back on schedule, and we couldn't be happier about that. So we kind of start our event season with the Spring Peddlers Market, which is Memorial Day weekend. It's the Saturday before Memorial Day. And this is an open air kind of lifestyle market is what we call it. It has antiques and gifts, some art, food trucks, really kind of a little bit higher end specialty items. So fun to come and browse and shop. We have, knock on wood, always had beautiful days for this event, and we expect nothing different this year. We have over 50 vendors that come to this event, and it's just a beautiful way to start the spring, start the event season. So we're really looking forward to that.
One thing I want to sort of emphasize, but bring out. Yes, a lot of attention in the first week of May will be focused on tulip time. Zeeland is not going to be just standing on the sidelines. You got some Dutch dancing coming, aren't you?
Well, we usually bring Dutch dancers. We're actually still working out those details right now. Our local Dutch dance groups have gotten smaller and smaller. So we're trying to figure out if we can bring them downtown. They've usually done a Zeeland Dutch dance dress rehearsal for us on Main Street. So still ironing out those details. But we are super supportive of Tulip Time as well. So, we're happy to give that attention to Holland during that week.
Some of the other traditional Zeeland events are on the calendar, and it looks like we'll have it. Of course, you're talking about the Peddlers Market on Memorial Day weekend. Things wrap up with that Memorial Day parade down Main Street, and that will be, of course, a big thing. We have the Show and Shine car show and cruise. That is a key thing going on in early July. The pig out for 21st of July, the Zeeland Fire and Rescue pig out at Lawrence Street Park. National Night Out on Elm Street, having been at the Elm Street location outside of Holland of the Zeeland City Hall. There'll be a lot of festivities about National Night Out, but I think to a certain extent, the kids will be more excited about the splash pad and all the water going up and down there.
Well, and even more so, last year at National Night Out, all of our, police officers and fire officers have gotten in the dunk tank. And I know that my kids were fighting to be first in line to dunk the officers. And so that's just always such a fun highlight. And our local departments do such a great job with that event.
Yeah, and there's some other fun events as well. The website to know all about what's going on in Zeeland, of course, there is the official website, which is cityofzeeland.com. That will keep you involved with all of the official business of the City of Zeeland. But the fun stuff, how about feelthezeel.com? And you can follow what's going on in Zeeland through liking them on Facebook, Twitter, and all of the social media avenues to be able to enjoy it. And indeed, a lot of things has happened over the last few years, obviously with the last 2 years with COVID-19 issues. Before that, the reconstruction of the Main and Washington Western Gateway with the roundabout. Before that, the Eastern Gateway at Main and Chicago Drive, the reconstruction there. You know what? We finally can catch our breath and have Zeeland be, hey, it's normal again. It's not under construction, which unfortunately over the last few years has sort of disrupted some of the things in the city.
Yeah, well, and there will be more construction coming in the next couple summers, but for this summer, we are looking forward to mostly construction-free, back to normal, back to gathering together again and just having a really good time.
She is Abby deRoo. She is the marketing director for the City of Zeeland. She joins us this morning on WHTC's Talk of the Town. Abby, as always, thank you very much for your time telling us what's going on in Zeeland. Hope all goes well with you and everybody in the town. Hope to chat with the mayor again next month. If not, we'll chat with you again soon. Thank you, Abby.
Sounds good. Thanks, Gary. Bye.
Thank you very much, Abby. Well, that's for me, Abby deRoo on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.